What are with his eyes? Genuinely, are his eyes like? Is there a reason they have those symbols in his eyes? What are you gonna do, Aaron? Wisely, bro.
Junkin.
Rock, paper, scissors. That is how people. I just see this guy fall this funny. They almost died just to solve it with rock, paper, scissors, bro. What's up? Welcome back. Welcome if you're new. My name is Mark, and today we're back with another episode of Wistoria Wine and Swords Season 2. This is the season finale, aka episode 12, and I am excited to talk about it and get into this. But as always, if you want to see the reaction before the review, you can check it out on Patreon in the description down below, and the pinned comment if I might put it there. Go check it out. Check out the reaction, become a member, check out the exclusives, and come back here for the review, or you can go to see the reaction after the review. It's up to you. But as always, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ding that notification bell. Hype the video on the YouTube mobile app, and as always, grab your snacks, grab your drinks, grab your notebooks, and let's talk about the episode. So this episode was really good. And so, what starts out with Alfaria and Zeo almost dying each time. And luckily, they didn't die. Will is wondering what happened to Alfaria, and Zeo, he's getting back up. But they both have no magic left, and so Zeo's like, yo, let's finish this mano a mano, fist to fist. And they're going to. They almost do as well. But they are stopped by the wind and fire faction leaders, whose names I do not remember. Nope. Wind, her name is Eleanor. Other guy, Carrion? Maybe. Not quite sure on his name yet. But they do that. They stop them. And as they're about to continue, despite those two, Fire Guy is like, yo, you'll stop when Master Aaron tells you to stop. And then we see Aaron descending down almost from the heavens with a look in his eye. He's serious, bro. And I asked the question, are his eyes just decoratively like that? Or is there more of a reason for the design in his eyes beyond just looking cool? But anyways, he's floating down there on a pedestal thing. And he's like, stop it. And they stop because he's the guy, unfortunately. And so now, Zeo and Alfaria, they don't want to stop. Because they don't want to stop until what's been decided with Will has been decided. And so reminded of it. But Aaron's like, yo, here's what you're gonna do. You want to solve this? Rock, paper, scissors. And he's completely serious, bro. Everyone's surprised. But like, to be fair, that is a valid way to stop it. It's so anticlimactic, obviously. That's the main like problem with it, is that it's an anticlimactic way to resolve the situation. But it is people do use rock, paper, scissors to resolve stuff like that. So I think it's funny. But also, they're hesitant. But then Aaron's like, rock, paper, scissors, or I'll take Will under my command. And honestly, initially I would if we didn't watch the other episodes, I would have been hesitant. I still would have been hesitant. I'm still hesitant, but I would have been more hesitant to say yes to that. Because from what we've seen now, we do know that Aaron doesn't hate Will. Do I think I feel like Aaron wouldn't kill Will. I also don't think he'd give him over to Kreutz. I think Aaron would find a use for Will. I would be kind of interested to see what would happen if he took Will under his command. But that is not important right now. And so no one likes that when he suggests that. And so now he gets them started by saying, first comes a rock. And I can't tell if he was saying it in like a like get to it, or if he was or like in like a threatening way, or if he's just like happy. But it almost felt like he was threatening them with starting it first comes a rock. You better play rock, paper, scissors, or you bastards. Sort of thing. That's what I thought it could have been. But they do. And they take it so seriously, bro. Elfaria, not surprising, but even Zayo, he takes it seriously. They wind up with their, like with their hands, like, rock, paper, scissors. And they just keep going for a while. They go for 299 times, supposedly. I believe them when the subtitles say 299 times. I just think it's kind of funny that, like, everyone's still standing there waiting for them, because it definitely wasn't, like, immediate. Like, it probably took a few minutes to get to 299, right? Like 5-10 minutes, and everyone's literally just there watching. And I'm so curious to see what Aaron's face is if he's, like, passively watching. Like, because he's still there. That's the thing. He's still there watching them, waiting for them to decide. But finally, Zayo wins. Because of course he does, man. Like we saw this coming, and I still think this is actually a good thing for Will. And of course, and so Will's there now on the ground, and Zayo grabs him. He's like, "Come with me now, pal," sort of thing. But Elfaria, she's crying, whining, having a tantrum, not wanting to let go, because Will, she just got back with him, and she doesn't want to leave him again. But Sarissa drags her away, I should say, and then the reason Will's not protesting this more is because if he does, Elfaria will fight and get hurt even more, which is kind of sweet. So, fair enough. But then he also is like, but then he looks at Zayo and he's like, "Promise me you won't fight Elfie anymore. Do that, and we're good. Don't promise, and I'll defeat you," and run away to her. I love how he just casually says, "I'll run away to," like, he'll just casually defeat him, bro. But, and Zayo laughs, because of course he likes that kind of grit, that cockiness. And so he's like, he doesn't say, keep in mind, this whole time he doesn't actually make the promise, like, verbally. What it could be implied by him just, like, laughing along and, like, giving him because he gives him his, like, outfit and all that. But he doesn't actually say he promises. So there is that. And so then he puts his arm around him. He's like, "Welcome to the Lightning Faction." And good to go. Oh, something that's funny though. After Zayo wins, the one dude that's like his aide-de-camp, I think, following Zayo around, he starts clapping for Zayo's win, and he tells Liana to also clap. She's just like, "Yes, sir," as they're clapping, and I think that's kind of funny, but also fair enough. Hey, at least he has a hype man. He does have a hype man. That's honestly, hype men can be pretty useful. Yeah. With that said, everyone's good to go now, and moving on to another scene. They're having a party at Clarity's secret base for single witches. The students there, and they're like, "Yo, let's have a party." They have a party, and one guy, Michael Myers, I think. Michael, something like that. The announcer, he's good. He knows how to get them pumping, and they're like having a good time, and Liana, she's tired. The exhaustion's hit her. Will checks on her in like some room, and he gives her food because she's always hungry. Colette and Wignall come in, and they're all cheery for the most part and happy. And Wignall, Colette's a little annoyed, but Wignall's jealous, and it's I mean, not Wignall. Wignall can tell Colette is and he says envious. I think she's also jealous of Liana being friends with Will. So I think it's funny. And I love Wignall, man. Wignall is such a good guy after once you get to know him, man. I also went on a tangent a little later after Will, because Will leaves, and because it's like his party and all that. He's like, "Yo, come with us, book learner." And so he goes with the two guys that come to get him. And Colette, she wants to tell Will something, but then Wignall's like, "Go tell him, man." Colette's Liana's like, "Go tell him, man," sort of thing. And she starts to hype herself up and everything. I then went on a tangent about shipping Will with them. Like, the problem I have with Colette is the same problem I have with Alfaria, but to a lesser degree. And the problem I have with Alfaria at the end of the day, and I've touched on this before many times, about how I don't care about Alfaria. But the reason I don't care about her is because it seems like her only moving point is Will. The only time we see Alfaria doing anything really involves Will in some capacity. The only time it doesn't is during the attack, the Terminalis attack, Terminalia, something attack, when she wants to go down there just to help. That didn't involve Will technically, but it probably did involve him a little bit. And so it's hard to like. I like characters. I don't mind when characters have like a attachment to certain characters to like a bigger degree like this. The problem is that that's all she is. Genuinely, that's all she is. For the sake of the story, she's just Will's love interest. A girl who's obsessed with Will. That's it. And to be fair, I've said it before, I don't completely blame her, because she was pulled away from him at such a young age and hasn't been able to truly see him until then. But at the same time, man, I just wish we got more with her outside of being involved with Will. And that's the same problem I have with Colette, to a lesser degree, as I said. Because Colette does get moments of not really being involved with Will, where she stands up. But a lot of the time, it also is involving Will. And it's just so hard to sympathize or like her when she's like going after Will, when it's basically the same situation with Alfaria. And which is also why I mentioned how I genuinely still think he has more chemistry with like Julius, Wignall, Sion, even Liana he has more chemistry with, man. Because Liana's like, she doesn't make everything about Will, really. Sure, she might use him as inspiration, but that's about it. But I also did mention in the reaction that I know that Alfaria and Will are like endgame. I had to mention this in that scene or later on in the episode reaction, but like, I know they're endgame. But it doesn't mean I agree with them being endgame, bro. And this isn't even involving like Rossi or anything. At this point, I'm not gonna bother with the whole Rossi stuff right now. No point until he comes back. But like, I do still think he has more chemistry and would be better with any of them. And I say this later on, so I'll save it for a little later. But Julius and Sion. Whoops, apologies. I hit my microphone arm. But Julius and Sion are talking because Julius is like, "You're not gonna go bully him. You're sad you can't bully him anymore." But then Sion's like, "Nah, I'm not upset that I can't bully him anymore. He's no longer the book learner guy that he was before. He no longer offends me when I look at him." And so that's pretty cool. That's some growth from Sion, man. Even then, Will calls up to him because they're on like a balcony somewhere, and Will calls up to him. He's like, "Hey, Sion, thank you." So he wants, and then he asks if he can go up there in person to thank him. But then Sion's like, "You want to thank me? Fight me." Which, yeah, that's in character for him. And then Julius joins in, and they're about to fight. But then Colette's about to run in there too, because she wants to tell Will something. She worked up the courage, but the building goes boom. And then fast forward to the building going boom. After that, we see them in a different place with not them. We see Finn, Iris, and was it Clary or Ceridwen? I don't know. I don't remember. It was one of the two. It was Ceridwen, I think. But like, they're there and they're talking to Iris because she's like she doesn't want to go there because she doesn't want to confuse Will with the fact that she's a watcher and all that. But then Finn is like, if you don't go there now, if any sooner, someone might steal him from you. And yeah, that's true. But she doesn't want any advice from him. But then he's like, I'm rooting for you. And hey, at least Finn is rooting for her. And then, man, like Finn's such a fun character, bro. But then she asks Finn to do him a favor, to do her a favor, promise her. But he says no because she doesn't call him Finn, she calls him Invest. But then he's like, call me Finn and I'll consider it. And she does. And so she asks him not to take Will away. And he says, very well. As long as he progresses, I won't take him away. But if I see the sword is not progressing, I'll take him away. And that's valid. That is valid on his part. That's completely valid. I don't blame him. And then, back to the explosion, or what's thereof. Workner comes in. He scolds them, or he would, as a teacher. And that's what he said. He's like scolding them, but then he said, that is what I'd say if I was a teacher. If I was your teacher, but I'm not. However, this is advice from a senior mage, and that's cool. And so, there's that. And then Workner's like, yo, Will, you got some time? So they go sit on the stairs, and they talk for a little while. And Workner, I think Workner's a great teacher. Yeah, he did try to push Will once or twice to, like, stop. But it was for his own good. And you know for a fact that, like, Workner genuinely had, like, his heart was in the right place. So it's harder to hate him. And that's the same reason I don't hate Edward, because his heart was in the right place. He just had a very bad way of doing it. But the one thing I'm worried about, I mentioned this as well, is that Workner might not be around as often because he's not a teacher anymore. Same goes for Edward, and I hope that's not the case because I love both of them as characters. I think they provide a good grounding for our people as the adults and like the senior mages. I think they help ground them. So I hope those two stick around in some capacity, which is like the one problem I have with like shows in general or stories in general that involve like starting out in school but then graduating. It doesn't happen often because usually the story ends once they like graduate and all that, but sometimes when it doesn't, the problem I have is that the teachers become less involved, even though they've been involved for so long, because they're no longer teachers. And so they have to rewrite or reaffirm their connection in a different way to make it fit the whole point of them still coming into the story. And so that's my one problem, or hope that doesn't happen with Wistoria, is that Workner and them don't like leave. Or at least don't. I like when they appear more often. That's what I should say, to get to the point. And so then Will's like, "How do I go see Elfaria?" But then, and so Workner's like, "Unfortunately, it's impossible for one member of a Magiavander faction to see another," which is weird. I feel like I don't know why it's impossible. Like, yeah, they don't all get along, but I feel like they should be cordial enough to get along, like enough for that kind of thing, you know, just to say hi. But whatever, they have their own reasons. Meanwhile, Workner's like, however, I do know of a student that would like to see you, man. And so get dressed. get out of that little outfit and go put your uniform on. We're escaping the tower. And they literally escape the tower on a dragon, which is funny. Very, very funny. Bro just pulls up on a giant dragon. It's like, yo, we're getting out of here, man. Let's ditch this spoiled place. And so we also get a little moment with Edward, Clarity, and oh, what's the vampire lady's name? I don't remember her name, but she's the vampire teacher. At least I assume she's a vampire. They have a little moment there where they like cross blades, almost, quote unquote, cross wands, like they're ready to her throats. And then Clary, she's just there. She's like, reminds me of the good old days. And that's funny. Clary is a riot, man. I love her as a character. She's so fun. I love a lot most of the characters, man. They're fun, man. But eventually, we're gonna drop Will off. He's like, I'll be back at 12. And so now we get some moments with Will and Alfaria. I'm not gonna harp on it because I don't want to. But they're like, they're sitting together on a bench. It's really nice and sweet and wholesome. And I think the problem for me also, like I don't hate romance. I really like romance. I like when romance is actually built up. And there's, cause like this is I guess this isn't technically romance. It's more like friends catching up, but it's so romance coded that like it's hard to get invested because we haven't seen enough, at least for me, we haven't seen enough moments of them together previously leading up to this kind of nice romantic moment to like be invested. But also I just don't ship them. But they're talking, they're like reminiscing, stuff like that. And then Will is like, I don't want to go there yet because is this really what we want to be at, our goal? And so he wants to get stronger and then join her and all that. And once they're there, they make that promise again. Kind of. Well, we get to the promise part, but before that, this is actually the part where I wanted to mention something else. Another reason why I don't ship these two. And it's not even because of the chemistry at this point. They have chemistry. Enough chemistry to be the bare minimum of like, yeah, I can see it. They have enough moments together. I guess I could see it. But at the same time, the reason I don't ship them, honestly, is because I feel like Will would be better off with almost anyone else. But specifically, I did point to Wignall, Sion, and Julia specifically. And not just because I think they have good chemistry, but also because I think they'd be good for each other. Because I think the thing I have with Will and Alfaria is that I don't think Alfaria could push Will to become stronger, to grow. She'd be fine with where he is right now. She is fine with it. She'd also be fine if he was much weaker than her. Because she'd be all like, I'll protect you, I'll look after you sort of thing. I'm certain. I'd wager a lot, pretty decent amount, that she would not be able to push Will to grow properly of her own volition, I should say. If Will would have to bring it up first to be like, yo, I want to get stronger if they're like together and all that. But I don't think she'd be able to do it on her own. Whereas Sion and Julius, we know for a fact that they would be like, oi, book learner, Will, surf for it, get stronger sort of thing. They push him and all that. I think genuinely, like, for Will, he'd be better off with any of them than he would be with Alfaria. But at the same time, they do have, Alfaria and Will do end up having some nice moments in this scene. So I can't exactly complain, bro. But I do just wish there was just more there for, like, I just wish there was more there. And so Alfaria is like, yo, let's go see the sky, kind of. And so she makes a giant spiraling ice stairs going up. Will's worried about them being seen, the stairs, but she put an illusion magic on the stairs so they apparently can't be seen. But then I had a moment of laughter at the thought of the stairs not being seen, but Will and Alfaria are, and so people just see them walking up in the spiraling, like just walking up in a spiral on air. And I think that's a lot funnier than the stairs just being there. But they walk up, they have Alfaria made swings, and they're swinging, they're having a moment, and then they make a pinky promise about becoming stronger and all that jazz. And as if you can't tell, it's as I said, it's just really hard to be invested in them, honestly, because again, we don't get many moments with them now, but also I just personally don't think they're meant for each other. Within the story, obviously it's clear they're meant for each other, but I don't personally think story, like aside for them being together aside, I don't think they'd be good together personally. But with that said, that's how the episode ends. But also, we do get to see that there's a season 3 production confirmed, and so that's cool. We also got an end credit scene, and that end credit scene was interesting in that they're there for their orientation. Clarity comes in and she's like, "Yo, here's your assignments. You're gonna join your go into your factions and spy on them, bro." And it's such a I want to say it's stupid to have them do that because like they're newbies to this kind of stuff, but at the same time there might not be a good time to do this. So like, because they think that they believe someone on the inside helped with the Terminalia attack, and they're probably not wrong, and so they want them to spy on them, report back, find anything suspicious and all that. And that's how they end it with a season 3 production confirmed. So I'm happy with that. And I'm also excited for season 3. And I'm very curious to know what your thoughts are on the episode and the season as a whole in the comments down below. Let me know if you're excited for season 3. I am excited for season 3. I do kind of wish that the show performed better for me. That's like the one thing, because like it just doesn't perform too well. Which to me, it's not a big deal, because I'm enjoying this enough that even if it doesn't perform well, I'm still gonna check it out and talk about it. But it would be nice if it performed better. But that's the curse of reacting to shows that are like everyone's reacting to, because it's so saturated for a smaller channel like mine. But that's not the reason we're here. With that said, again, let me know your thoughts on the comments down below. Go to Patreon and check out what my reaction, my exclusives, all that jazz. You can also see what I'm reacting to for the summer on there too, and I also have a video. It will be linked at the end of the video. Just tap on the screen and check it out there. For everything I'm covering for summer 2026, I am covering quite a bit. We're gonna be doing this again. You're gonna be seeing my face, so you better get used to it. But yeah, anything else I'm forgetting? Thank you for joining me on this journey. I have genuinely enjoyed this a lot, so I'm just excited to see where we go with all this. But as always, like, comment, and subscribe, and ding that notification bell. Hype the video on the YouTube mobile app. But with that said, until next time, my name is Mark. Never stop being yourself. Stay safe out there, and I will see all you incredible people in the very next video.